About a month or so ago, I put out a video talking about the haunted Annabelle doll. Yes, the creepy doll that they made 3 or 4 horror movies about, that doll. What a lot of people don't realize is that the Annabelle doll, while not like the doll in the movies that they made about it, but the Annabelle doll is real. Now, it's up to you whether or not you choose to believe if the doll is really demonic and haunted or not. But the records do show that a lot of people who have come in contact with this doll have had a lot of tragic things happen to them. Now, for years, this doll was locked up in the Warren Museum, which is basically the Warren House, where they keep a lot of different haunted objects. I know it's called a museum, but it's not necessarily open to the public. And Annabelle is contained in a special case, and warnings have been put out there for years not to move the Annabelle doll. Now, on the rare occasions that they did move the Annabelle doll, or they did take it to a seminar or something like that, there was always a Catholic priest. And to this day, there is a Catholic priest assigned to the Annabelle doll. If the Annabelle doll is ever moved or ever in contact with the general public, there is a priest on hand whose specific job it is to be there just in case too many crazy demonic things happen. I know it sounds crazy, but we live in a crazy world. So, a little while ago, some people decided it was a good idea to take the Annabelle doll on a tour of America. Now, I understand why a lot of people would find that fascinating. And even I myself, I find it fascinating, but I don't want to be in the presence of this doll. I'm into supernatural things. I believe in the supernatural. I don't believe all of the crazy stuff that's out there, but I also don't want to mess around with it. I'm that type of guy. I don't necessarily believe this house is haunted, but I ain't trying to find out the hard way. You know, I'm that type of guy. So, when it comes to the Annabelle doll, it's not something that I would want to do. I'm not going to pay money to be in the presence of a demonic doll. By the way, if you guys didn't know, haunted dolls and stuff like that, that's like one of my number one fears in life. Okay, it really is. But anyways, they decided it was a good idea to move Annabelle, which you're not supposed to do. I believe along the journey, Annabelle was removed from its original case, and they took the doll on a tour around America so people could see it and they could talk about it and yada yada. Now, while on this journey, a lot of weird things were happening wherever they took the doll. Random, just crazy events. For example, they took the Annabelle doll to New Orleans, and then they had that, just super old, plantation that burned to the ground. A bunch of inmates escaped the prison. All types of crazy things happened on the weekend or the week that the Annabelle doll was in New Orleans. And other crazy things happened in different locations across America. Well, I put out a video talking about this, and my warning in the video was hey, this isn't going to end well. I know the paranormal is fascinating, but I also don't think it's anything to play with. I don't think it's something that people should always take lightly because, I don't know. It's just, I think it's something that needs to be respected, right? I always tell people you should respect Mother Nature, okay? You never know what these storms can do. As someone who's lived through a lot of hurricanes, I know, okay? So respect Mother Nature and also respect the supernatural. Don't be going around playing with Ouija boards and trying to contact the dead for fun. No, don't play around like that. Well, The news just broke a couple of hours ago that the man who took the Annabelle doll on tour was just found dead in his hotel room. So, I mean, yeah. Of course, this probably has nothing to do with the Annabelle doll or anything like that. I'm just saying it's kind of weird, right? And if you know about the history of this doll, it's not like Chucky, okay? It's not like the doll walks around and kills people. No, but it's just, for some odd reason, people who are around this doll, crazy things happen to them. And they've taken this doll on seminars before, and people who attended those seminars literally died on the ride home, and a lot of crazy stuff has happened in the past. And now the guy who took the doll on tour is dead, and I don't think they even know the cause of his death yet, folks. I'm going to go ahead and dive into this article so we can find out a little bit more about what's going on. But first, I want to ask you guys for a huge favor. If you like these videos, if you're informed or entertained, if I help you pass the time, do me a favor, take 1 second out of your day. It's free, it's easy, just hit the like button. I know you may think that the like button is just there, it doesn't really mean anything, but when you hit the like button, it helps my channel out way more than you could imagine. So please hit the like button. Also consider letting us know what you feel about this topic in the comments, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Also, you could donate if you're feeling generous. It's always greatly appreciated. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into this article. Paranormal investigator Dan Rivera dies suddenly on Annabelle haunted doll tour. A paranormal investigator died suddenly on Sunday night while touring with the infamous and supposedly haunted Annabelle doll, his tour organizers have announced. Dan Rivera, a U.S. Army veteran, was in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania on his sold-out Devils on the Run tour when firefighters and medics were rushed to his hotel. CPR was performed, but Rivera, 54, died, according to the New England Society for Psychic Research, where he was the lead investigator. His exact cause of death still remains unclear. Rivera was featured as a paranormal investigator on the Travel Channel's Most Haunted Places and served as a producer for a number of other shows, including Netflix's 28 Days Haunted. As a part of his tour, Rivera was traveling around the U.S. with other members of the NESPR to show off Annabelle, the creepy and allegedly demonic doll. His death came after he finished a 3-day sellout stop in Gettysburg from Friday through Sunday, hosted by Ghostly Images of Gettysburg Tours at the Soldiers National Orphanage, the NESPR said on Monday. Rivera, who is survived by his wife and 4 kids, used social media, including viral TikToks, to bring the tour to international attention. Fellow paranormal investigator Ryan Buell paid tribute to Rivera. I have so many amazing memories with this guy. Just as recently as 2 months ago, we traveled around the country and introduced a whole new generation to Ed and Lorraine Warren's legacy, he wrote on TikTok. Annabelle, a Raggedy Ann doll, was tied to a series of supposed hauntings in the 1970s after being given to a Connecticut nursing student named Donna. Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigators, claimed the doll physically lifted its own arms, followed people around the apartment, and would display other frightening and malicious behavior. The couple also claimed Annabelle had hurt a police officer and caused a car crash involving a priest. A psychic medium claimed the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a dead 6-year-old girl called Annabelle, and the Warrens said it was demonically possessed and moved the doll to their museum in Connecticut. The Warrens, who founded the NESPR in 1952, investigated a number of mysterious cases, including the Amityville Horror House on Long Island and the Annabelle doll. Their stories inspired The Conjuring, the highest-grossing horror movie series worldwide. After Ed's death in 2006, followed by that of Lorraine in 2019, the Warrens Occult Museum and the NESPR have been maintained in Connecticut by their daughter Judy and son-in-law Tony Spera. In 2019, the museum closed to the public over zoning issues, and in recent years, they have toured around the U.S. instead. Back in mid-May, conspiracy theorists tried to link Annabelle to a prison breakout and devastating fires in Louisiana, pointing to the timing of the doll's tour stop in New Orleans. But Spera stamped out the speculation, claiming that whatever happens when Annabelle is in town is out of his control. So, there you have it, folks. Weird, creepy stuff. I'm sure this guy's death has nothing to do with the Annabelle doll. As far as I know, no one knew that anything was wrong with him. Mind you, he was on tour. He was just speaking to sold-out audiences, right? And everything seemed to be okay with him. After showing off this doll, after touring this doll around the country, he returns home or returns to his hotel room. And I don't know what happened, but something happened. And unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He leaves behind a wife. He leaves behind kids as well. And I mean, it's like you can't really even discuss this dude's death without thinking about the fact that he literally, suddenly, randomly died while on tour with this demonic doll that, you know, has all of these stories behind it. You know, a history of just crazy things happening. And now here we have the latest crazy story. The literal guy who is taking this doll around America dies while on tour, touring the doll. So, if anything, we have another Annabelle horror movie on our hands here. I mean, if you look into the history of Annabelle, there's all these different hauntings and stories tied to the doll. And now if you ask me, this is the latest story. You know, when you research Annabelle, you're looking at stories that happened decades ago. Decades from now, people are going to be looking at this dude's death and looking at that same haunted doll. And I'm hoping that no one else takes it on tour anymore, because I think we've seen enough now. I'm not saying that this guy's death had anything to do with the doll. That would be crazy to say. All I'm saying is we've seen enough. We've heard enough. Keep the doll wherever the hell it is. Right? I think that's rational. I'm not saying the doll killed this guy or anything like that. I'm just saying, hey, we got enough deaths surrounding this doll that we've seen enough. You know, the old stories were good enough. The old crazy stories tied to this doll were good enough. We don't need new ones in 2025. Yet, here we are. And this comes like a month and a half after I was telling you guys, like, hey, this is probably not a good idea. As someone that likes horror movies and likes creepy things and stuff, no, this is not a good idea at all. And I'm wondering, are you going to continue to like tour this doll with someone else? Is someone else just going to take over and we're just going to pretend like this didn't happen? You know what I mean? Like, I'm wondering if the people that are actually taking this doll around, I'm wondering if they're creeped out by this, because I'm creeped out by it and I ain't got nothing to do with it. So the people who are on tour with this doll, I wonder what they're thinking right now. Because this guy who they found dead, you know, about a month or so ago when I originally brought you guys this story, there were pictures floating around out there of him just like actually physically touching the doll, which is something that I heard you kind of shouldn't do. So, I don't know. Really weird stuff. But, I mean, as a paranormal investigator, this guy's death is tragic, obviously. But as a paranormal investigator, this is one hell of a way to go out. Think about it. This dude's entire legacy, at least from what we know, obviously we don't know him personally. Sure, he was a great guy, had a great family, and I feel bad for his family. But his legacy is, tied to all of these different haunting shows and paranormal stuff. He was the lead paranormal investigator, at this little business or company or whatever you want to call it. So now his legacy and his death will forever be tied to the Annabelle doll. And as a paranormal investigator, that's just one hell of a way to go out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm honestly spooked out by this story, for real, because, when I was warning you guys a couple of months ago about this situation, I didn't imagine that it would end up like this. But that it just goes to show, at least in my opinion, that you don't play around with the supernatural stuff. Do not play around with it. You could be fascinated with it, be fascinated from a distance, okay? You don't want to be hands-on with the Annabelle doll. But for now, you guys let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.